Okay, three main shapes of bacteria. Does anybody know them off the top of their head? Spiral, yeah. So spirillum is spiral. If you can't identify that one, come on. It's in the name. The other one is the coccus or cocci. That's a circle. Now I always think, okay, they both have C in it. C for circle, C for cocci. I'll remember that the one is round. Then the other main one is the bacillus. Two L's in there, Bacillus, or something like that. And that's the rod shape. So you got circles, spiral shapes, and rod shapes. Those are the three main kinds. There are more than that, but those are the big ones. Okay, number 2, are viruses technically alive? Yes or no? No, right, why? So they can't replicate by themselves. So any normal cell can do mitosis and split into 2 and then split into 4 and go and so on and so forth. A virus can't make any more viruses unless it has a host cell. It's like somebody who doesn't have the machinery to build a car or something, but they'll go and rent out a car producing company. Except viruses are much more evil. So, based on that, should you use antibiotics on a virus? No, because it's in the name, right? Antibio. Bio is life. So if a virus isn't technically alive, don't use an antibiotic on it. If the doctor ever gives you an antibiotic for a virus, just slap him in the face. Ask him if he got his degree at Walmart. Okay. Number 3, the main difference in protists and bacteria. Now, if you look up these questions, you're going to find a bajillion answers. I'm going to tell you like the general rules, what I want you to know from me. So there are a couple differences, but the big one is that a protist is mostly single-celled with a nucleus. So it's a eukaryote. It has a nucleus. Bacteria mostly, not always, but mostly, does not have a nucleus. It's a prokaryote. Of course, there are always exceptions. Those are the big rules. Okay, how do viruses reproduce? So I'm going to give you like a simplified version. Does anybody know? Let's see. That may be what it's called. I just want you to know the overall generalized process. So I'm going to break it down just super simple what I want you to know. First thing that happens is a virus, it lands on a cell. So these things, they're super cool. They look like little spiders. So this is a virus, and it's got little landing pads, weird looking legs. It goes and lands on a cell. It lands on the cell, it's going to insert with some weird stick or something its DNA into that cell. So it's going to go over there, put its DNA in there. It can't replicate by itself, so it has to give the DNA to the cell. Now the cell it's just a nice hearted cell. It says, oh, whatever, you gave me DNA, I'll replicate it, I don't care. So it does. It replicates the DNA for the virus, and over time, that DNA builds up, and what generally happens is it'll build up, using all the machines from the cell will package up a nice virus or a whole bunch of them, and then they'll all just burst out. Like 1,000 baby spiders out of an egg sac. They're just running everywhere. So those will bust out and then go on and infect other cells. That's the main overview. That's all I want you to know. Okay, so these next two terms are based on virus terminology. It's lytic and lysogenic cycle. So what we just talked about, right when the cell bursts out like 1,000 baby spiders, that's called the lytic cycle. Anytime you see lys or lytic in any kind of scientific term, it always means to break or to split or something like that. Like glycolysis, if you remember back biology 1, it means to split the glucose. So in this case, the virus is splitting that cell, that nice cell who kindly replicated its DNA, splits it and bursts out into 1,000 spiders. Now that's a pretty fast process. What I just told you right here, in most cases, is going to be called the lytic process or the lytic cycle. Now lysogenic cycle is a much more prolonged period of viral replication. So we'll have the same general idea. A virus lands on a cell and inserts its DNA in there. But instead of the virus just busting out, the DNA will just keep making the virus's DNA. And then this cell will divide into 2 cells. So it'll do its mitosis and stuff. It'll split into 2, split into 4. All the while, the virus DNA is like a Trojan horse hiding in there just waiting to burst out. Then some environmental factor, maybe the pH is just right, the temperature is just right, there's enough water or salt or something. Something triggers these viruses and they all burst out at once, out of like a bajillion cells that have already been replicated. And so that's how you get a large system-wide infection. You got to go straight to the doctor for that. Not good. So that's the lysogenic cycle. I always remember that lysogenic it's a kind of a long word, so it's a long cycle. Or the Trojan horse cycle is kind of how I think of it. Okay, one more and then we'll let you go for the lab. What is a superbug? Does anybody know?
Is it when something has become resistant to antibiotics?
Yes, but even beyond that, it's resistant to multiple. So it's not just resistant to one, it's resistant to a whole bunch. And stuff you'll see, for if you go into nursing, you go into home health, PT, you want to be a doctor, you're going to see probably the most common one. I'm going to give you a common one here. It's called MRSA. You may have heard of it. That stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. And that's a regular bacteria, but now it's like super well trained. It can resist methicillin, penicillin, amoxicillin, oxacillin, a whole bunch of stuff. And that happens, the way this happens is maybe a normal bacteria gets zapped with an antibiotic. And so you kill out of 100,000 of them, you kill them all the way down to one. But that one that survives now knows how to resist the antibiotic, and he divides again into 1,000,000. And then you say, okay, I'll hit him with something else. And so you hit him again, and it shrinks it down to one. But now he knows about 2 antibiotics. You just repeat that a couple of times, and you got like a Navy SEAL bacteria just killing everybody, doesn't care. That's how you get a superbug, and that's pretty scary. And if you do go into medicine or anything like that, MRSA is one you'll commonly see. And that's a superbug, multiple antibiotic resistant bacteria.